broadcast, I'm going to be sharing with you on rising above waste. Yes, rising above waste. One of the reasons why a lot of people find it difficult to create wealth is not because money does not come to them, but it's because most of the time when money comes to them, they end up wasting the money. It's not how much you make that matters. It's what you do with what you make. So on today's broadcast, I'm going to be sharing with you on how to be able to rise above waste so that you will no more waste resources. You will no more waste the opportunities that comes across your path. You'll be able to know what to do. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you on the guidelines to wise spending. All the things you need to do that will guide you to be able to spend in the way you're supposed to spend. So right now, I want you to call your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your colleagues. Call anyone you can call. Send text messages to them and tell them the Common Sense Guru is right on here again and is going to be talking about rising above waste. Make sure you have your pen and you have your paper. I've told you before, and I'm repeating it again. The shortest line is longer than the longest memory. So make sure you write so that you can refer back to whatever you've written and it will be able to help you invest money. So one question you always need to ask yourself is this: am I a waster, a spender, or an investor? Now, a lot of people get money from time to time. As a matter of fact, everybody gets money. If you really sit down and ask yourself, you will realize that in the last 12 months, lots of money have gone through your hands. The question now is, where is the money? Oh, I don't know what I've done with the money. You know, the money keeps going. The way they come, they go. Now, listen to me. Now, many people ask themselves, what do I do with money? I get a lot of money, but I don't know how the money goes. Listen to me. The reason why you don't know where the money goes is because you have never planned on where it should go. Yes, you don't know where it's gone because you've never planned on where it should go. You need to understand that if you don't tell money what to do, money will tell you what you should do with it. So before money ever comes into your hand, you need to have a plan. You need to know what you want to do with your money. So that when money comes, money will not dictate to you. So a lot of people waste money, but you need to rise above waste. The very minute you are able to rise above waste, then you are in a better position to begin to create wealth. Now, let me give you a few tips before I begin to share with you on some guidelines that you need to have when it comes to spending. Number one, you need to make sure that you don't allow yourself to be able to get involved in impulse purchase. You need to balance your emotion when it comes to the issue of spending money. Because a lot of people waste money most of the time because they are moved by impulse. They see something that excites them. They see something that makes them feel good. And they're like, oh, I love that bag. Oh, look at that shoe. It's so nice. It's lilac. It's purple. And at the end of the day, they buy a lilac shoe or a purple bag. And then they get home, there's no clothes they can wear it with. Most of the time, we are moved by impulse. So you need to rise above impulse if you're going to be able to rise above waste. You also need to rise above what people say. You know, hey, what will people say? How will people feel? How will it be said that I could not afford that? You need to understand. If you do it the way they have been doing it, you only end up with the result they've always gotten. So if you want to do something different or be someone different, you must move out of the norm. So most of the time, we want to fit into what people think is the norm. Oh, that's what's raining now. That's what everybody is doing. But guess what? You are not everybody. You are somebody. So you don't want to do what everybody is doing because you are not going to the same place that everybody is going to. So you need to also make up your mind, number one, not to be moved by emotional or impulse purchase. Number two, not to be moved by what people say. Another thing you need to look into is don't invest or put money in what you don't understand. Yes, you heard me right. That's how a lot of people have lost money. They just joined the bandwagon. Oh, everybody's investing in that thing. He seems to be making a lot of money. I have a friend that told me he made money. And then out of greed and covetousness, without thinking, without investigating, without finding out the real truth, we jump into the bandwagon. And guess what? If you jump into the bandwagon without knowing where the wagon is going to, you may end up arriving at the destination called nowhere. So most of the time, a lot of people just put money in things they don't understand. And they just feel that, yeah, I've put money in there, and because I've put money in there, oh, money will come out. It does not always work like that. So never put money in what you don't understand. I always tell people, investigate before you invest. It's better to spend time to do your due diligence and find out what you're about to do and the details of that particular investment or particular, platform before you put your money in there. Because many people have wasted resources because they trusted people they should not trust, or they put money into things they should not have put money into. Another tip you need to know is don't invest or put money into what you don't need. Yes, there are many things you don't need, though you want it, but you don't need it. So the question you need to ask yourself is, this thing I'm about to spend money on, am I really sure it is something that I need? And that is one very important question you need to ask yourself. Now, listen and listen well. There are a few guidelines that I want to give you that will guide you when it comes to the issue of wise spending, so that you'll be able to rise above waste. So if you can, I want you to begin to write down the following things as we look at them one after the other. Before you ever spend money, in order for you to rise above waste, there are a few guidelines you must follow. Number one, do I really need it? Do I really need it? That's the first question. That thing you want to spend money on, that thing you're about to put your money into, do you really need it? Yes. In life, there are needs, there are wants, and there are desires. Now, there are a lot of things you desire, but you don't really need them. There are a lot of things you want, but you don't really need them. But there are things you need, and those are the most important things you must focus on. Now, there's nothing wrong in having good desires. There's nothing wrong in wanting the best of life, but can you afford it? So when you are at the level of your life where you discover that you cannot afford your desires and you cannot afford your wants, then stay within your needs. So the first question is, do I really need it? That's why you find out that the basic need of man is clothes, feeding, shelter, and all those stuff. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is this. Now, when you begin to think of clothes or shelter or food, now, there are different levels when it comes to food. But food is food. Yes, when you get to a particular level of luxury, you want to begin to say, I need caviar, I need salmon, I need this. But if you cannot afford it, why try to go into what you cannot afford? I remember, a joke that one of the comedians in our country made one time. He went out, according to the joke, with a lady, and they went out to an eatery, and this lady was like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And she was just asking for all kinds of stuff, because that's what I eat. In fact, that's what I normally eat. And the guy said, well, I cannot afford it. And the lady did not feel good about that, so they left. But as they were going out of the eatery, something nauseating happened in the atmosphere, and the lady was, stirred up, and she began to vomit. And guess what? She was vomiting gari. Now, the lady that is saying, I want this, I want that, I want that, she was vomiting, and that means what she was eating was gari. And she's trying to prove that she's this, she's that. So don't do that. You need to ask yourself, do I really need it? And once you discover that it is something you need, wonderful. If it's not something you need, then you need to make sure you exit that. I've been looking at rising above waste before we went on break. And I told you, in order for you to rise above waste, there are a few tips you need to know, which I've already shared. And then there are a few guidelines that you need to allow to guide you when it comes to spending. So number one, you need to ask yourself, do I really need it? The second question you need to ask yourself when it comes to guidelines to wise spending is the price right? There are some things you really need, but the price is not right. You need to ask yourself, is the price right? If I buy it now, is it the best price I should be paying? You need to ask yourself, can I get it cheaper somewhere else? Do you know that sometimes, I remember in our country when the GSM telecom operators started operating, and they were selling their SIM pack and starter pack for loads of money. I didn't buy, because as someone that understands wealth creation, I knew that because they were just starting, they would need to recoup their money. And I knew, I think they started around I think around August or September of that particular year, and I was telling people I'm not going to buy because when it's Christmas time, I know they're going to do some sales. And then just about 3 or 4 months after they started, Christmas came, and then they were on sales, and they were selling it for almost 70% less than what other people bought it for. Today, a few years later, it's virtually almost free for you to be able to get into those networks. So you need to ask yourself, is the price right? Because you may be paying more than you should pay at that particular time. And now that brings us to timing. Is the timing right? That's the third question you need to ask yourself. Do I really need it? Is the price right? And then, is the timing right? Because sometimes what you need is what you're about to buy. You really need it. You've discovered that, and it's true. The price is right. And that's equally true. But the timing is not right. So you need to ask yourself, is this the right time? You're pregnant. You are just 6 weeks pregnant. You have 8 months more to go for the baby to come. And you want to go and buy everything maternity. Hello? Yes, you need maternity gown. Yes, you need a lot of things, but do you need it at 6 weeks? That's not the right time. Because at the end of the day, you may end up buying something that you think is okay for you right now, and you don't know how you're going to be in the next 6 months, and then it's no more okay for you. These are questions you need to ask yourself. Question number 4, is there a substitute? Is there an alternative? Because see, what you want to spend money on may have an alternative that is cheaper and better. Yes, I've realized that in life, a lot of people have come to a place where they are more like label freaks and designer freaks, and they are trying to get things only when they know that it has a name. Just before we began taping, my producer was discussing with my general manager. There's a water dispenser right in our office, and the producer was asking my GM, now, how long have you guys been using this water dispenser? And my GM said, oh, we've been using it for a very long time. Say, is it good? Has it been serving you guys well? And he said, yes, well, it's been good for us. It's been serving us well. And he said, can you please direct me to where you bought it? Because I need one. Because I've seen so many water dispensers, and at the end of the day, they don't last. Now, I love that discussion because he was not concerned about who is the manufacturer. He was not concerned about whether it is a big label name or a designer water dispenser. He was concerned about functionality. Can it deliver? Can it deliver? And now if you think of that, what you are spending money on, there are a lot of alternatives that will deliver more than that. A lot of alternatives. So is there a substitute? Is there an alternative? Is there something else I can buy? Is there another one I can buy? Because it's not all about the labels. It's not all about the name on the brand. It's about, can it deliver on what you want it to do for you? Do you understand that? Now, the next question you need to ask yourself is this something that is easy to maintain? Because sometimes people buy stuff, and when they are finished buying, they are now regretting it because to maintain it has become another headache. Now, no money to maintain it. Even when they have the money, the spare parts are not available. That's why I look at a lot of people, they buy cars. Oh, this is the latest car. Everybody's using this kind of car. It's started. And by the time they buy the car, there's no way they can repair it. In the whole city where they live, there's no mechanic or engineer that can repair the car. So in order for them to change any small thing, they have to remove the parts, send it abroad, bring it back. What is all this stress that you are giving yourself? So you need to ask yourself, maintenance. Is it easy to maintain? Is it easy to keep this thing running? Because if you don't ask yourself all these questions, you may end up spending money and you will regret the money you are spending. You will regret the money you are spending. Another question you need to ask yourself before you spend that will help you to rise above waste is my spouse in support? Yes, you heard me right. Is my spouse in support? If you don't have the support of your spouse and you go and spend money on something, you will learn another lesson of life that they don't teach you in school. Now, let me tell you something. Once you get married, two have become one. You are no more an individual. You have become a team. And you need to understand that whatever you need to do, when you are alone, you could do whatever you want to do. But once you get married, even if it's your money, you don't have the right to spend your money anyhow. You need your spouse to support you, because when the two of you come together in unity, you'll be amazed at what can happen in your life. I've seen a lot of people that say, excuse me, it's my money. How can he tell me what to do with my money? And they go ahead and they end up wasting the money. I've seen loads of, especially women, they just feel, excuse me, I work for my money. Am I supposed to take permission from him before I can spend my money? No problem. Go and spend. When you face the reality, you will come back to square roots. I've seen a lot of people do that. A lot of guys feel, well, do I need my wife's permission? Excuse me, I'm the man of the house. I don't need my wife's permission to tell me when to spend or when not to spend money. You will learn. So you need to understand, in order for you to rise above waste, always get the support of your partner, so that when you are spending money on that thing, you'll be able to think together, agree together, plan together, execute together, and then you can enjoy together. Or else, if you do it yourself, and then something goes wrong, if you do it yourself and your partner is not in support, you'll be amazed at how that you will not even be able to enjoy what you have spent your money on, and it will end up becoming a waste. All these things are very, very important if you are going to rise above waste. I hope you're writing. You need to write down all these things that I'm sharing with you. They will go a long way in helping you to rise above, because I've seen a lot of people lose money. I've seen a lot of people remain financially broke and remain limited in their finances just because of their inability to rise above waste, and just because they don't have a lot of guidance when it comes to spending their money. So make sure you're taking notes, make sure you are getting ready to rise above waste, so that after this broadcast, people around you will see that there's a change in your life because a new information has come. Well, I'm about to go on break. We will be back, but don't go anywhere, because I'll be rounding up. We've been looking at rising above waste, and I've been sharing with you on guidelines for wise spending. Things that you need to note that will help you when it comes to the area of spending, so that you will rise above waste. Few more things you need to write down that will help you. And the next thing you need to write down is, will the value of that thing you're about to buy increase? Will its value increase? Because most of the time, many of us are poor because we spend money on liabilities. There's a difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is anything that appreciates in value and puts money in your pocket, while a liability is anything that depreciates in value and takes money out of your pocket. So before you spend money on that particular thing, on that product, on that service, in order for you not to end up wasting it, ask yourself, will the value of this product increase? Will the value of this service increase? Because most of the time, you spend your hard-earned money on a particular product, and then you regret it in less than a week or two. And that brings me to the next question you need to ask yourself. Another guideline to why spending is, you need to ask yourself, this thing I want to spend money on, the way it's doing me now, you want to pay now, you want to buy it now. Will you still feel the same way next month? Will you still feel the same way next year? There are some things I've desired to have in my life, and I wanted it immediately. But because I've learned not to move by impulse, I've chosen not to buy it. But few hours later, few days later, I was grateful I did not respond to the impulse. And I know you must have had that experience too. So don't just go ahead and buy. Just because you can afford something does not really mean you should buy it. There are a lot of things I can afford that I don't buy because I don't get moved by impulse. Even though I can afford it, I ask myself these questions I'm asking you right now. So this thing, will you still need it very badly by next month? Will you still need it badly by next year? Will you still feel the same way you are feeling now about it? So the question you need to ask yourself is, will it increase the quality of your life? You need to ask yourself, because why buy something that is going to kill you? Why spend money on something that is going to ruin your life? Will this thing increase the quality of your life? It's very, very important for you to ask yourself all these questions. And then one other thing you need to do is you need to make sure that thing you want to buy, you do your research very well and really research the products. Research the product, and another thing you need to do is to compare prices. Compare the price of that product from place to place, store to store, because sometimes you buy something in a particular place and then you discover that the people you bought it from another place that is just 30 minutes away from where you bought it. So make sure you note all these things, and once you put them to work, it will help you to be able to rise above waste and to be able to begin that journey of wealth creation. Lots of stuff to share, but we are limited by time.